Welcome to the Homebrew Crew. I'm Tony. This is Sean, and as always, we're here to make your D&D homebrew campaigns the best that they can possibly be. Today, we're going to be doing another DM Pow-Wow, and this time, we answer the question: what do you do when a player is super excited about playing a homebrew race, class, or
whatever it is they find on a wiki or something? Yes, yeah, exactly.
That just does not fit in your campaign.
Mm-hmm. So I know this situation very vividly. You get that player that prints out a nice PDF, or they've got that file on hand, and they show you this awesome, amazing class that they found on a forum somewhere.
Yep, and there are a lot of them.
Yes, there's too many, actually. And they get excited, and they give you the backstory. They've written pages and pages about how tragic their character is.
And they're so happy.
Yeah.
They look so great with it, and they're like, yeah, I really can't wait to play this, and it looks great, and it's awesome. And you're sitting there, and you're smiling and nodding, thinking, oh, great, he's excited. At the same time, you're going, I don't know how this is going to look. I've read through this thing. It looks like it can do everything under the sun. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a problem for me.
Yeah. So a lot of times you're going to get these players who find this homebrew content, and either it's too overpowered, or it just doesn't work in your game or your world. You're going to get a lot of players that, like, for example, maybe you have this kind of very typical fantasy kind of setting, and they want to play this machine like Warforged.
Yeah, and if it doesn't fit in your campaign, you now either have the choice of figuring out how it does fit in your campaign and mold it, which is always interesting, you know. Can't have the UFO fly in and something drop something off.
No,
I want to play a Zerg in the next campaign.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to disappoint your players, so you kind of get stuck in this position.
Yeah, and the way I see it, you can kind of go down two avenues with this kind of situation. You can either work with it, or you turn down the player. We'll kind of delve into the first part where you try to work with it. So let's say your player comes in and they want to play this awesome homebrew class, and you're looking through it, and let's say it's way too powerful. It's got too many things going on. It's going to wreck your encounters, and your players will have this situation where they're not going to feel as special because, like, you've got this player who's got this amazing class that can do everything.
Right. Yeah. And see, now it takes away mechanics from other players. Let's say this guy can heal, and he can, he's got a great pet, and he's got, the ability to do damage, and he can wear heavy plate armor, and he's got saving throws on Constitution and Wisdom.
Right.
And, everything just never touches this guy. I think the first thing is taking the nerf bat. Usually.
Yes. Yeah.
And it really is a term that we end up using, but it is true. You basically look through the class and go, okay, you can play this class. However, we're going to change this, and we're going to change this, and we're going to change this. And they have, you tell them, okay, are you okay with that? Because this is how it'll fit in my campaign.
Right. And, I feel like you are asking if they're okay with it, but at the same time, you're kind of aren't.
Really, it's not like you're going to have to be okay with it, or else this isn't going to be played.
Pretty much. It might help to kind of look at other classes in the player's handbook or other books to kind of get a reference as to, what kind of delegates, like, balance.
See, now that brings up a good point. And this is the thing that I see the most when it comes to homebrew classes. And like I said, there are a lot of them out there. We reviewed quite a few, and a lot of them are really good. Some are, like, great. That hero class is still one of my favorites. But here's the thing. Sometimes people want that character, that class, to be able to do everything under the sun. And we've said that like a million times, right? But if you go to the player's handbook, or you go to a base class with that, like you pick up and you go through the fighter, right? And you take a look as to what they get at certain levels. They're structured in a way that they get certain abilities and certain things at certain levels. I've seen it where I've seen sorcerer builds, for example, that get something every single level.
Yeah.
And you sit there and go, this is too much. It's like if you watch the sorcerer, they get things at like, okay, first level, third level, 10th, 15th, 17th, or something like that. And every single one of them, it's like, okay, it's a little ability, and there's at least one fluff thing in there and all that. But a lot of times people don't balance those things. So you as a DM have to kind of go through, match it up with what you have, and go, okay, well, you see here where you see that you get an additional 4 skill picks on there. Like, okay, well, I'd like to increase my stamina each time, or my strength or whatever off each time. It doesn't work if it's extra. That's why the game exists.
Yeah, exactly. And these rules apply to story-based things as well. So if this race doesn't work in your world, you can still try to make some changes. Maybe that player wants to use that Warforged class in your fantasy setting. Maybe you can reason that steampunk things exist, or maybe this came from a different dimension. It time traveled. You can still try to satisfy your player while also making things work in your world. Now, let's say you've tried this. Let's say you've made the modifications. You've reasoned with this player. You've done everything you can, and it's just still not working. The only other solution that you really have is to, kind of take it out or have it not work. Hopefully you say no from the beginning. It's actually really hard when you have this player begin playing this homebrew class and they get used to it and you realize that it's not working, but they've been playing it. Right. And you don't want to really take them out, or you don't want to purposely murder them. So hopefully the initial solution is to kind of stop it from the beginning or nerf it from the beginning. But let's say you get into a situation where you're stuck with it now. Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen situations like that where there was one point, I remember I was playing in a campaign once, and I was fighting one of the other characters that were like this, and it wasn't really a big problem, but I noticed that there was a situation where their reaction could be used up, and then they had another attack, and then their pet could attack, and then I was basically just being ping-ponged in between the two things, and I went, wait a minute, I don't know if I like this anymore. But it's not it's the fault of balancing of these classes that exist online. It has nothing to do with your players with it. Your players are just trying to look for something cool to do. Yeah. So that's, you want to make them happy. You kind of have to balance it yourself. And there's little guides and things that you can look at online to figure out how to balance a class too. Yeah, definitely. So hopefully you can make some tweaks to it. If you have to, maybe after the session or after a couple sessions, pull the player aside and be like, hey, I noticed that, you do a lot of this, and this. It prevents my other players from doing this, or it gives me a hard time. So that's always an option that you can do as well. Also, maybe try to sell a regular class with a different combination. There are a bunch of homebrew classes where, if you multi-class into two different classes, you can kind of concoct something very similar, honestly. Well, yeah, I've got a sorcerer who dipped into Hexblade. Now I've got a sorcerer that can wear medium armor and use melee weapons and all this great stuff. Yeah, exactly. Purely out of the book, purely all authentic official content, but is still very special, very powerful, and it stands out. Yeah, and I'm sure your players just want to play something creative, so you can always help them out. I think that's actually is a great way to go over it. Is there anything else that we should maybe address with it, you think? I don't think so. Just remember that I think generally you're always going to have that player that wants to stand out, and they want to be special. They want to have their moments to themselves, and you just got to remember that in your D&D campaign and in your party, everyone's special. And you got to treat everyone with the same quality and all that. So. You can add a couple little things to them. For example, maybe instead of having these really awesome abilities that are on there or all these different things with it, give them something that is like a low-class magical item, like a common kind of thing is the way I see it. Instead of being able to breathe fire, they want to look cool and everything else like that. Have them have a phantasmal fire. Something that looks cool that they could do as an emote for their character. Yeah, exactly. And then they get to play that style in there and incorporate that, because that's really what they want to do. Yeah, it's little things like that. As long as you're prepared for surprises, you're going to be just fine. Absolutely. Well, that'll wrap it up for this week's video with it. If you have any questions or anything you'd like us to review homebrew-wise, if you've got something that needs balancing, we're here for you. Can totally do that. Just write us an email. It'll be in the description below. DMBrewCrew@gmail.com. You can also like and subscribe us right up here, or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and we're on Reddit now, aren't we? Yeah, we do. So if you want to catch up with some of our posts there, or talk to us on there, ask us more questions, great place to do it as well. So highly recommend it. Absolutely. I'll be on there a lot. So remember, as always, the best campaigns are always the ones that you homebrew yourself. So until next time, keep brewing.